Very good morning to you, dear loving children. I hope you are all keeping fine. Today onwards, we are beginning with the history online class. History, we have taken the chapter The Making of the Global World. I have taken about the three types of laws in the world. We studied about Silk Route, we studied about Rinderpest, we studied about economic depression, we studied about First World War and the Second World War consequences. Now, I will be continuing with the class History Chapter 1, Making of the Global World. As you go through the class, you get ready with your notebook and pen, pencil, and note down the questions and learn those questions. And at the end of the class, you will be given a worksheet, an assignment. Then you will be given some test based on this chapter. So please do that and send it back to me through the parent day or through the WhatsApp. So let us begin our online class, The Making of the Global World continuation. So let us begin the continuation of the class, Making of the Global World. The first question, what do you understand by the Bretton Woods system? It is a system linking national currencies and monetary system of the world. After almost before the end of the Second World War, the Bretton Woods system was developed first in America. We will be studying, as we study the next question, we will understand more about the Bretton Woods system. The Bretton Woods system developed IMF and the World Bank. IMF means International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. So, this is the first question, what do you understand by Bretton Woods system? Let us go to the next question. What were the two key lessons learned from interwar economic experience? After the First World War and this is after the Second World War, what lesson the economics and the politicians learned from the interwar economic experience? First lesson, an industrial society based on mass production, you can see here mass production of mass production of cars. Mass production cannot be sustained without a mass consumption. If you go on producing more number of cars in an assembly line method of production can be sustained only if more and more people buy the cars. So here you can see one side different companies manufacturing cars, other side people buying those cars and using. So mass production can be sustained only with mass consumption. It cannot be sustained without mass consumption. So as we produce, it has to be consumed. That is the one lesson that they learned. For ensuring mass consumption, there should be high and stable income. If people have income and people have a stable income, for that they should have a stable employment opportunities. So, for ensuring mass consumption, there should be high and stable income. Income should be stable. People should have jobs and they should have a stable income and they should have better salaries. Then only they will be able to buy more products from the market. Then only the trade will increase, market will grow. It will lead to economic development of the country. That is what is happening today with China and other countries. production is increasing, consumption also is increasing. Then, for ensuring mass consumption, there should be high and stable income. And third point, we see stable income require full employment. A person can have a stable income, a steady income, only if there is a full employment. He should get employment throughout the year. Unemployment rate should be very less. More and more people should get employment opportunities. That is a lesson they learned. Then, the goal of full employment could only be achieved if government had power to control flow of goods, capital and labor. In this chapter we studied about three type of flow of goods. Carrying of goods from one place to another, that is called globalization. The goods can be sold anywhere in the market. So, government should have power to control flow of goods. And government should have the power to control capital, that is money. And government should have a power to control labor, workers migrating from one place to another. That is why many countries have put restrictions. America and many countries have put restrictions on the arrival of laborers. So, the goal of full employment can be achieved only if the government has the power to control flow of goods, capital and labor. So, these are the two lessons that we learned. One is for mass production, there should be mass consumption. Mass consumption is possible only if there is a full stable income. Stable income is possible only if there is a full employment opportunities. For full employment, government should have control over flow of goods, capital and labor. Okay, let us go to the next part. What was the main aim of post-war international economic system? The post-war international economic system, that is Bretton Woods, IMF and World Bank. It was to preserve economic stability of the country and full employment in the industrial world. That was the main aim. Once again I repeat, the aim was to preserve economic stability and full employment in the industrial world. Now, what do you understand by the Bretton Woods system? The Bretton Woods conference was held in July 1944 in New Hampshire in USA. The first conference was held in 1944. And this Bretton Woods conference, which was held in July 1944 in New Hampshire in USA, established IMF and World Bank. These two are the two famous banks in the world. What is the full form of IMF? IMF stands for International Monetary Fund. Was established. You can see the picture of the IMF bank. It was established to deal with the trade surplus and deficits of its member nations. IMF was established to deal with the trade surplus of member countries. After doing business, they have surplus money. That surplus money they used to put it in the IMF. And to deal with the deficits of its member nations. Those member nations which had a shortage of money, capital, they could borrow from International Monetary Fund. So it was first set up to only help those developed countries, those countries like Japan, America, all those countries. So we see only they helped only the member countries of the IMF. Then the second bank was the World Bank. The World Bank was set up to finance post-war reconstruction. We studied in the lesson, the war caused a lot of destruction. Many cities were destroyed. Many civilians died through the use of aerial bombardment, artillery fire. Many buildings were destroyed. Airports were destroyed, bridges were destroyed, flyovers were destroyed. So a lot of money was required for reconstruction of the world. You know, all the leading industrial nations have taken part in the Second World War. So we see that the war caused a lot of destruction. Many civilians lost lives, millions of people injured, and millions of people died in the war. The other name of the World Bank, please note down. Sometimes you may be asked a question, what is the other name of the World Bank? The other name of the World Bank is the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. From the name itself, it is very clear why this bank was set up. The World Bank was set up for post-war reconstruction of the world after the Second World War, and for the economic development of the countries. Then, another important feature of this IMF and World Bank, decision making is controlled by Western industrial powers. Western industrial powers, USA, France, Germany, they have control over decision making. Loan should be given to whom? Loan should not be given to whom? Which country? Who decides? The Western industrial powers will decide. And the USA has an effective veto power over the decisions of IMF and World Bank. It is the USA, America, who decides loan should be given to whom. When countries from developing countries approach World Bank or IMF, or less developed countries approach World Bank or IMF for loans, America can decide. Sometimes economic sanctions against some countries, America will decide whether loan should be given to certain countries, whether loan should be given to Iran, whether loan should be given to Afghanistan, whether loan should be given to such kind of countries. The America can decide. So we have seen that what was the purpose of the World Bank and International Monetary Fund, why it was established. So let us move on to the next impact of IMF and World Bank. You will be asked the question, what was the impact of IMF and World Bank? The world trade increased 8% annually because of the setting up of IMF and World Bank. They gave more money to the countries, and mass production was introduced, and there was a boost in trade. So trade increased 8% annually, and due to stable income, employment opportunities, and mass production, mass consumption, the world trade increased 8% annually. In the income of the people increased 5%. Income of the people increased 5%. And world saw the spread of technology and enterprise. Many countries began to adapt new technologies. We have studied another question, what is the role of technology in changing the lives of people? Faster railways, lighter wagons, larger ships, enabled transport of goods from faraway farms to final markets cheaply and quickly. So, because money was available, they began to set up water transport, air transport, and road transport, trains. All this helped in the spread of world trade. So, the world saw the spread of technology and enterprise. New technologies were adopted, and technology spread from one country to another country. Now, let us deal with another topic here, decolonization and independence. After the Second World War, many countries became independent, and many countries which were earlier colonies, they became they became independent. So, what was the impact of decolonization? First of all, many countries became independent. We know that after the First World War, 1945, India became independent in 1947. Some countries became independent in 1948. Some countries became independent. Angola, Namibia became independent in 1975. So we see that many countries became independent. And these countries who became independent, they were overburdened by the poverty and the lack of resources, because their resources were exploited by colonial powers. When British came to India, they drained the wealth out of India. So we were overburdened by poverty and lack of resources. Economics were handicapped by long years of colonial rule. Our economy was in a bad shape. We were not able to provide basic necessities of life to people. Whatever wealth we had, the colonial powers, they had minerals and other important aspects, they are taken away. Former colonial powers still control vital resources like minerals and land in many former colonies. Even today, we find many colonial powers, they still control vital resources like minerals and land in many former colonies. So that was the impact of decolonization. These countries, when India became independent, you remember the speech of Jawaharlal Nehru. Jawaharlal Nehru says that we have miles to go before we sleep. We have to do a lot of things to eradicate poverty, to provide basic necessities of life like food, shelter, clothing, etc. to the people. So with the help of technology, borrowed from other countries, maybe from Germany, maybe from Russia, India made a tremendous progress. Like that way, other countries also made progress. Now we see, after the setting up of IMF and World Bank, IMF and World Bank, they were catering to the needs of only industrial countries. They did not provide much help to developing countries. So, especially between 1950s and 1960s, the developing countries did not benefit much from IMF and World Bank. So, a group of 77 countries came together. A group of 77 developing countries came together to demand a new International Economic Order, NIEO. That is a full form. What is NIEO? New, I stands for International, E stands for Economic Order. A new International Economic Order. Let us find out what are the main aims of or objectives of NIEO. First one, it would give them real control over their natural resources. The countries will have a real control over their natural resources. Second one, they would get more developmental assistance. Assistance means help from other countries. So they can borrow money from other countries, other banks, other countries. Second, they would get a fair price for their raw materials. Many countries were buying raw materials from such kind of countries at a cheap rate. So they would get a fair price. Fair price means a good value for their raw materials. The next point, they would get better access. Access means entrance for their manufactured goods in developed countries' markets. In globalization, this is very important point. Any country can sell their products in anywhere in the world. If we can sell our products, we learn that if our export is more and if our import is less, then only a country can make progress. Balance of economic development is possible only when there is export is more and import is less. So, the aims of NIEO was their manufactured goods should get access in developed countries' markets. Then only they can make a world trade will grow, income of the people will increase, and that will lead to better development, better income. Now let us come to the next question, a very important question. Why MNCs? MNCs means multinational companies. Multinational companies. Give you an example: Coca-Cola, Pepsi, okay, or any multinational car companies. Why multinational companies shifted their production to Asian countries? It's a very important question. After the 1970s, we will find, later we will find that why many products we get cheap today. Mobile phones became cheaper, TV became cheaper, all because of the multinational companies shifted their production to Asian countries. Let us find out what are the reasons why these countries shifted their production. First one, wages are relatively very low in China. You pay less money to the workers, and your workers are available for less salary, less wages. Second one, raw materials were available cheaply in Asian countries. Third point, cost of production is very low in Asian countries. At the same time, we should think another point we can think about, that is cost of production was very high. Cost of production was very high in developed countries. That is why America and Western countries, why they shifted their factory to Asian countries, so that their main purpose is to earn maximum profit. Maximum profit is possible only when the cost of production is very low. Another factor is that cheap labor was available. Labor was available at a cheap rate. When an American is employed, he has to be paid maybe 1 lakh, maybe 2 lakhs. With that money, they can employ more people here. With the same amount of money, maybe 4 or 5 people can be employed by these countries, in Asian countries. Another important feature is that, as I told you, mass consumption can be beneficial only if there is a mass production can be benefited only if there is mass consumption. So markets were available to sell their finished products. Maybe their mobile phones, maybe their cars, maybe toys, maybe TV, washing machines, whatever may be. Markets were available to sell their finished products. Today, if you look at India and China, with such a population of more than 1 billion, is a good market for all these Western powers to sell their products. And another most important impact of this effect of these multinational companies, many goods like TV, mobile phones, toys, etc. become more cheaper. In the beginning, I remember if you want to buy an ordinary TV, 20-21 inches TV, when it was purchased, I remember you have to pay around 25,000 rupees. Now TVs have become cheaper. I told you the cost of production was very high in Western countries. I'll give an example. All these are Coca-Cola companies. Coca-Cola companies have established their factory all over the world. We had their factory in Plachimada, Palakkad. They have established their factories all over the world, and to make more profit. And it stimulated world trade, especially in China, India and Brazil. That is the advantage. It stimulated, accelerated, increased world trade, especially in China, India and Brazil. So, the coming of multinational companies in a way was a blessing for people of China, people of India and Brazil, because many people got jobs and they get better income, and economic growth and trade is possible.